What are the takeaways for the business community as you think about the new type of leadership needed to be able to engage Gen Zs, for instance?
So I think we have to learn to adapt to the rising polarization and to the new ideas of Gen Z. And so I'm hearing more and more from leaders in the business world that they're seeing these problems we have on campus, what seems like hypersensitivity, the constant conflict over small things. There was just a review left on Amazon on my book on the coddling, in which somebody wrote, "Thank you for this book. This helps explain why my new recent bright hires go running to HR every time there's a conflict, and then they won't show up at the meeting with the person who supposedly offended them." So I'm hearing this sort of thing from a lot of people. People born after 1995, Americans, so immigrants would probably be a lot better. But if you have someone who was born after 1995, raised in the United States, and went to college, especially an elite college, there's a good chance that your intuitions about what's right, decent, fair, and normal are not going to apply to that person. Now, most members of Gen Z are fine. They're perfectly happy people who want to be productive members of your company. So it's going to take leadership and norm setting. If you don't set the norms, you're going to end up with all the problems we have on campus. You're going to end up with constant conflict, constant charges with demands for you to settle this thing I heard him say to her, and it hurt me, so I want you to punish him. If you don't want that to be your future, I don't know if this will work, but I suggest that you give speeches to your new people, you establish norms that go something like this. I'm just going to make this up on the fly, but something like this. We're trying to run a company here. We think we have a great product. We think we do right by our customers. We have lots of ambitions as to how we can grow this company if we all work together. We're doing this at a time of rising hatred. We see it all around us. Companies are being torn apart. America's being torn apart. If we bring our politics into work, we're going to be torn apart. I wish you could bring your whole self to work. That's something the millennials used to say. I wish you could. But let's be realistic here. If we want to stay together as a team, we can't do that. We have to put the company first here, and that might mean you leave important parts of you at the door. And that's not to say they're not important to you, but when we're together, we have to really give each other the benefit of the doubt. We have to put the interests of the company first, and we have to hang together as a team. It's going to be tough. There are going to be conflicts. We have to all try to work together, give each other the benefit of the doubt, and let's see if we can make this thing work.
Does that extend then to chief executives who are being pressured to make political statements to support their Gen Z employees?
Yes, this is going to be the big theme, or one of the big themes for the next few years. If the Nike gambit pays off, and it becomes profitable for Nike to take a side in the culture war, then I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on other companies to follow suit. I'm really alarmed by this development. Our culture war is bad enough. Imagine the culture war seeping into all of our schools, so that when you pick a preschool for your kids, you've got to know, are you a red preschool or a blue preschool? Imagine picking a restaurant. Are you a red restaurant or a blue restaurant? And of course, in the blue restaurants, we hound out people who are red, and vice versa. Clothing, are you red clothing or blue clothing? This is going to be terrible for us. What we have to do to adapt, just as with global warming, sea levels are going to rise, we've got to start pouring concrete to protect lower Manhattan and other cities. In the same way, polarization, cross-partisan hatred are going to rise, and Gen Z is very politicized. How do we adapt to that? I think we have to start saying, you know what, church and synagogue, these are off limits for this sort of stuff. Or rather, we have to find ways to deal with it. Our companies, our restaurants, our doctors' offices, it's going to fall on business and business leaders to establish norms. It's going to be hard for any one company to do it on its own if other companies are behaving differently. But my hope is that just as schools, or I think universities, have an absolute, really a fiduciary duty, I would say, to focus on what they're supposed to do and to not let politics flood in, I'm hopeful that such a norm will spread through business as well. It'll certainly make the lives of leaders a lot easier.